So
okay.
welcome guys to the American Experiment Radio. Where this is Sophie. I'm Huxley. Anthony's here. James is here. We're going to be talking about some current events. So this should be good. So Sophie, what events do we got going on right now?
So right now, I think the biggest,
what's
the
going on?
biggest, the gossip I should say was that Prince Harry and his wife, who what's his wife's name again? James, do you remember?
Uh,
Meghan Markle.
Megan.
I don't know.
Yeah. Oh my
Megan,
God.
yeah, Megan.
Oh shit. Okay. So South Park made a joke about them. I mean, they have a whole entire episode. It is about them, but they don't take their names. They actually refer to
No.
them as the Prince of
They're the Canadian
Prince of
king and
Canada.
queen.
Yeah, no, the Prince of Canada and his wife. They don't even give a
Yeah.
royal title to Meghan, and they just blew them away. Like everything that I saw, like them making fun of them, like having a privacy tour because when they were leaving UK, it was like called a Megxit because Meghan or something
Oh
like
my
that.
God.
Because Meghan was like no one cared about her, no one comes and asks her stuff, and the whole Archie situation where she said that they were saying that what skin color would the baby be, like because she's half black, and then she always has his mother around just to tell people, look, you do see that I have a black family member, for example.
That's cool and all. I mean, the royal family, that's cool and all. But I think we got there's a lot of issues we're going through, and then the royal family is just I feel like they're a distraction. I think
Yeah, they don't really matter that much.
Look at this 7-Up, right? It's and then the current world events are back here. This is my fist, right? And they just put them right over it, and you can't see my fist, so hence.
So the thing is, during the episode, the same thing is happening because most of the people are not interested, and I think it's Stan who is the one that because they move into the neighborhood, the prince and his wife, and they are his neighbors, and everyone else doesn't really care about it, but they actually care about it. And I mean, he's the one who's stuck up with them, and just no one is giving him no mind. This is the same thing like me bringing it up, and I can see no one here cares about it. But it is like a huge thing because they got really upset. They got upset with this cartoon making a joke in America, by the way. It's just totally legal. And they wanted to sue them. So that's when it became an issue. Now, when everyone heard that they were going to sue the cartoon, everyone started talking about it. Like they are just a laughing stock around the world right now. And I just recently heard that they're not going to do anything about it. They were just like,
No. It was like a $200 billion lawsuit or ridiculous.
Damn.
Yeah, they just want the American money.
They were really trying to sue the heck out of them.
And wait, who's suing them? It's the Crown?
The Prince Harry.
Oh no, they have nothing to do with the
society
Crown.
that got offended.
Oh my God. What's the name of it?
There's some society that got offended by him or something that want to sue the heck out.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's all good. Anyways, but I mean, I feel like that's something that that's kind of like world drama. I think there should be like a special show for world drama, and they put this whatever's going on in there, and it's like episodes of current world. It's like a telenovela, right? It's like a.
I second that.
It's like a soap opera, but real world stuff. Anywho, so whatever happened with that oil spill here in Ohio, or sorry, the chemical spill?
Oh God.
More stuff happened. One of the things that happened was that no.
Oh my goodness, bro, that's crazy. Just I've heard people talk about that. I've heard people that live there, they're having complications, health complications, obvious ones. And dude, not only that. So this is okay. Go ahead. I'll let you talk. Okay.
No, what did you think about Trump sending them water to help them?
Water?
You see that?
Okay, so they also made a huge deal
Trump
about the water.
sent, water.
They were he was printing out water, and he's not printing out water. He owns a bunch of businesses, and
he owns the water for his hotels, and he sent them.
Yeah, it's the water from his hotels, and they made such a huge deal about it.
I mean, what's wrong with water?
Yeah, but it was interesting.
I think it was maybe opportunistic, but you know.
Well, it's branding for himself to get people's minds before his re-election.
Yeah. No, but ironic that Biden was abroad.
But that would have been there if when he was leaving. Hey, pick up a bunch of stuff. Like he owns hotels. He brought food also. Like I'm pretty sure the food didn't have any label on it, but the water is something that all these hotels they actually do brand it with their names, and he owns a hotel, so it made sense that he brought water from his hotel.
Yeah.
I know.
But no, like I've heard. So back to that, like, have you guys seen the movie White Noise?
I was just about to mention that.
Yeah. The White Noise takes place in East Palestine.
Well, it literally takes place in Ohio. I don't know if they specify East Palestine, but
I think it is. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's East Palestine that it takes place in. And
I watched the movie.
And then, but 1 week before that chemical spill, they had rolled out this like this program, this app on your phone, like this health app that in case like there's, I forgot the exact details, but there's this health app that they rolled out so people can use it in an emergency. In case there's an emergency, there's this health app you can report to like the authorities or medical or whatever. I don't know the details. But
no, you're right. You're right.
Right before the chemical spill, like it's telling you there's something going on that we need to like think about, like what are they onto, like what are they doing that they I don't know. Do you guys get that? It's insane, bro.
It's it doesn't specify the specific city of East Palestine, but it's a pseudo city called College on the Hill, because it's all like it's supposed to be like a college town or whatever. But the scenario and the playing out of it, and also like it's literally about a toxic airborne event, and like it's like exactly what ended up unfolding.
Yeah.
By the way, it's a great comedy if you guys haven't seen it.
What happened in the end? Like I haven't seen the movie. Okay. So do they get like
it devolves into this sort of like take on like drug addiction and drug abuse, which is hilarious. But so basically like
druggy after the pollutants in the air.
I think they end up in like a hospital, like that's been taken over by like German nurses, like Nazi nurses, because it's like in this alternate reality where like the Germans have like integrated with America, but then like retained some of their original culture. And like there's a lot of very interesting like post World War II like kind of elements that go into it. It's really bizarre. I'm gonna have to rewatch it, like, but
you guys seen a show called what was it called? Freaking it's like it's a dystopian. It's like a show that's like about dystopian show.
Describe it. It's dystopian. What else?
It's like a bunch of little short stories. It's like short stories. Isn't that
Twilight Zone?
No. It's a fairly newer show.
I wonder.
But it's interesting how I feel like there's a lot of foreshadowing to what the U.S. might be wanting to do, and not just the U.S., the globalists, right? Because I have this big I have this knowledge over what the globalists are trying to do, and a bunch of like foreshadowing events that what do you call it? That they're like they're purposely putting out there for whatever reason, but they're putting these things out there, and then they're coming to pass. They're like happening, right?
Yeah,
like, it's crazy, dude, and we need to like look at these things.
It makes me nervous. Like, I mean, I don't know if there's ever been such a toxic spill like the one with Norfolk Southern. Like,
no, they're calling it they're comparing it to 9/11. I've heard some say,
Did you guys forgot about the Gulf Shell? Was it Shell? No, a BP, when BP had a oil spill in the
BP,
Gulf.
yeah. Like 15 years ago now, what was it? 20 years ago?
Yeah, it was as bad.
I remember that.
I think it 6 years to clean that shit up.
Dude, that was so bad. And then
it's
the
a while.
ExxonMobil, there was the other pipeline spill or tanker spill up in Alaska. Exxon Valdez. That was like in the 80s, I think.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm not that
old. I feel like we're just getting bombarded year by year. It's like each year keeps getting worse. Like they're like 2022 was gonna happen in 22, and then like a bunch of stuff happened, and now we're like in 2023, and like, oh, what's gonna happen this
Still
year?
bad stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude.
Not that entire, like the whole Alaska UFO thing. We never spoke about it. I think we did speak about it.
Yeah.
You just want to touch on that?
Recently, I'm recently just hearing about how a lot of people were talking about it on YouTube that I'm subscribed to are saying that it's the false flag alien attack, and it is just to get people in control.
Right. Well, I don't know, honestly. I don't know what the whole. The thing is that's scary about the. We're still talking about what we're talking about, the alien.
Yeah, like our pilots shooting down unidentified objects in the air or over Canada. They had like 3 or 4 back to back every day. They also shot down one in Canada.
Probably.
And Trudeau was like, and then first they started talking about how America shot down over Canada airspace, which is kind of like a violation of the airspace. And then Canadian news channels were like, Trudeau asked American Air Force to do that mission. Like, what?
Yeah.
You don't have an Air Force Canada? Like, you're using our Air Force?
No. There's semblance. There's definitely something going on, because like, why are we seeing all these like things happen? Like, what is going on? Like
no idea.
Is it me? Is it me because I'm young and maybe I haven't experienced like a life, right? Like, is this normal back in the 80s? Is this normal back in the 70s? Like, I don't know, because but like this a bunch of stuff is just going on. It's just insane to me. That's never happened before. Like they're now like openly saying, oh yeah, there's possible aliens, or unknown UFOs.
Well, remember the head of Canada said that there's aliens.
Yeah. So
which head?
Are they preparing
Trudeau?
for something?
Justin Trudeau or
like the president of Canada?
Which one?
The president.
I know some head of Canada.
Do they have president? I'm not sure. They have
they have a prime minister. There's a prime minister, and that's Trudeau.
I think Canada has. I'm not looking this up. I have no idea, but I think Canada has a head of state, and that's the Queen or the King right now, Charles.
Yes, that's correct. It is I think it's a constitutional monarchy.
Okay, cool. I wasn't going crazy. That is okay. So it must be. It's Trudeau did ask. Sorry, James. We thought you were abducted. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I was abducted by aliens, guys. Sorry.
It's been 3
Welcome
weeks.
back.
Thank you.
Like, what happened that day when we were talking about the aliens and you suddenly disappeared?
Yeah. But so do you think it's just other balloons from other countries spying on different people, or do you think it's actually UFOs, like aliens?
Dude,
it's just all like
I have my
doubts. I have my doubts.
No, I have my views on that, coming from my perspective.
Tell us, please.
Yeah, tell us.
Yeah, what's your view?
Okay, so I'm Christian, right? I'm Christian, and to those of you that are new watching this podcast, I'm Christian myself. I think James is non-denominational. But my take on that is that I feel like we're fighting a battle between the forces of the dark forces, right? And it's described that in the Bible, right? And And there's a possibility that these demonic spirits are manifesting themselves. It's possible. I'm not, it's just a theory. I'm not saying this is true or not, but it's something to think about. That they could be forming themselves into UFOs to further a deception that they have in play. And it's just a whole thing, and it's, I don't know, I'm really conflicted of that, because what else could it be? It could be, it could be a foreign, but at the same time, demons are really good at deceiving, and they're really smart. The Bible says they're smarter than us, right? And if they can come up with some, and then there's been instances where these supposed like aliens or supposed UFOs have been disrupting like communications and just things of the U.S. and other countries, like, and setting off nuclear like, what do you call it? There's nuclear missiles, right? They've been setting off or setting false alarms and stuff like that to make a world war or a nuclear war. So obviously these things want our destruction. So essentially, yes, they are a threat, but it's crazy. I don't know. It's something to think about. You guys want to add to that?
That's an interesting take.
That's an interesting take. Right.
So, yeah, I could hear that.
Yeah, but.
Anyways, they were talking about how back in the day the church wanted a fake alien attack so they could get everyone rallied together to be united, and it never happened. Obviously, they didn't have. Oh wait, It just they didn't have the technology back in the days to make it happen, and now they do have the technology to fool the hell out of people, because they have. What is that technology called? Where damn it, this is
interdimensional.
No, when you see an object, it's like, like you make those triangles to make objects appear in the middle, and they're like 4D, 3D or 4D objects.
Yeah.
What are they called?
Wait,
MK Ultra.
I kind of missed that first part.
Okay, so I was just trying to tell them how I heard from a few people when they were talking about the whole alien saga that back in the day, the Catholic Church was trying to like unite everyone. So they had this whole idea of, what if there was a force from outside that was coming in? And that was the whole, because you see these pictures from back in the day, and they have these aircrafts or unidentified, UFOs on their pictures of Da Vinci and shit like that. So I think that was the whole idea, and that was the person who, I forgot who it was, so can't really give them credit for this. They were saying that that's what the idea was at that time, but they didn't have the resources at that moment to make it happen. But now we have so much, I feel the technology that these scientists have in these labs is way ahead of what we have right now. Like these screens that we have, for example, they had it in the 50s. They just very slowly introduce us to these technologies little by little.
Right. So like these, so what would it be? So what explains also, different point, but what explains also like these like sightings, right? Like aliens, like sightings of aliens or whatever, like these people that actually, there's people that actually seen things, right? And I kind of tend to believe that they've seen it, but I don't think it's the aliens that they're thinking about. So there's like, I don't know what your guys' take on that, but bro, I like talking about this, about aliens and stuff like that. What do you guys think?
Do you want me to chime in? I'll chime in real quick. So I kind of have a synthesized version of like my theocratic beliefs are like a little bit of Taoism mixed in with like Roman Catholicism, so it's kind of a strange like combination. But in terms of like, this is kind of out there. In terms of the aliens and like interdimensional beings, I think that there are advanced civilizations that are capable of existing in dimensions that are not yet perceivable by us. And I think that they choose to like create a physical manifestation of themselves into the 4D, into the 3D in order to be seen or not seen based on,
Right.
I don't know if they're gathering intel or if, I mean, whatever. I mean, but I'm pretty sure that there are like multiple different species.
Right.
I don't know how much, like, I don't know how that would work, but I don't know where they exist. I'm sure somewhere within our galaxy, but there's also like multitudes and multitudes and multitudes of galaxies, so it's not far-fetched to imagine. But I don't think that like constitutes a differentiation from God. I think there's like other energies that exist, that coexist. But I think that it's definitely real. But I don't think that's what the balloons are. I think most of the physical balloons that we've been seeing are actually just like surveillance.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I wouldn't say
Beyond
that
the ice
those.
wall.
Yeah, I wouldn't say those balloons are aliens at all. I think it's just people and seeing stuff around. Well, if there are advanced civilizations, they definitely wouldn't have weak enough technology that would get shot down by us, but in 3 seconds.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And my take on that as well is that I do believe there are other worlds, right, outside of ours that have life, right?
Okay.
I do believe that, and that is biblical per se. There's a couple of verses in the Bible that kind of describe that there's other worlds. It describes worlds with the plural, right? They're watching the situation or the drama that's happening on Earth, and all the worlds are paying attention to what's going on because it's like the topic. It's like the topic of what's going on, the main
Yeah.
story, right? And what do you call it? And essentially, what if we are like the main story of the universe? What if like what's going on here is just
Yeah, maybe.
uh you know but yeah, I do believe there's all the worlds, it's just a battle here between good and evil, right? And it's like biblically speaking.
I agree
But
with that. I definitely agree with that. Or like a
yeah,
battle of good versus evil, or spiritual war. Like,
there's definitely
Mhm.
another realm, right, that we cannot see. We cannot see the spiritual realm, us humans, and it's intended for there's a certain reason why we can, but these spiritual beings can manifest themselves in anything they want, right? They can manifest themselves in a spaceship, right? They can manifest themselves as a person, even like it's something, and they even manifest themselves as aliens. And some people that okay, there's been like stories of like people that have demonic influence in them. They like
okay, so you are
draw
talking.
this supposed demon, and then it's like it looks like an alien, right? Like what we would see, like gray and like big old eyes and whatever, you know. But it's I don't believe, and I also don't believe the demons look like that, like scary little, it's like scary creatures or whatever.
Right.
They look like, according to the Bible, they look like actual being, like like angels, right? Because they were once angels that fell. They're
Uh,
fallen angels. That's what they are. So they can present themselves as like even a good angel. But yeah, that's
Did we
I don't
speak
know.
about Admiral Byrd last time?
Up.
Like,
Admiral Byrd.
yeah,
Admiral who?
the guy who went to the South Pole, and he had a whole skirmish with another I won't say another being, or he had
Oh,
like they had a small fight between them. Not really a fight. He actually took a flight. Like he was in his plane from after, like they were on a ship, and then from the ship he took his plane into a hole. And after he crossed the ice wall, there was this one giant hole, and when he went inside this hole, there was a whole city there. And his plane was brought down. I mean, it wasn't shot, but it was physically brought down by a beam. And there was someone who told him that, hey, we've been observing you, and he had it in his book.
And what year was this? This was in the early 1900s, right?
This was 1950s.
Oh, in the 50s.
Early 50s, or maybe after the war too. So he was told that they were observing us. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I think there is something in Antarctica, because they do like close it off, like all the expeditions. You can't like explore a majority of Antarctica.
Yeah, so they have the Arctic Treaty that ends in 2040. So because of the whole interview, Admiral Byrd, this is the whole conspiracy that after Admiral Byrd had this interview where he said, he didn't say the whole thing, but he said that there's beyond the wall, there's a whole continent that is as big as the United States.
Yeah, that's the 8th one.
Yeah, so after this interview, they told him that you cannot speak about this anymore. You cannot talk. You cannot tell them that you had you met some blonde hair, blue-eyed people, and they told you how disappointed they were from us because they knew about the whole nuclear war in Japan because we had dropped 2 bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So he shut down. Like, he didn't say anything. A few years later, they had the Arctic Treaty. Asking all the nations, this is the only treaty in the world that they all agree on.
Right.
So, and it ends in a few decades. It's gonna end. So that's gonna be a whole shit show again.
Now there are some reasonable explanations as to like what, you know, like why there would be a treaty that everyone on Earth agrees with Antarctica, because it's like entirely neutral, and it's also like uninhabited except for like they have a temporary population of like scientists.
Okay, so we don't know that. This is what they tell us.
Right. But I mean, I don't know. That story, I would like to learn more about that, because the story still kind of sounds like a fable to me.
Okay, the reason they would do that is because they already had all the JP Morgans. He controlled all the oil. He had all these factories. What if the people found out that there was another land out there? Everyone would have flocked to go check it out, and then prices of these items, if you have more resources somewhere else, would drop, and it wouldn't be good for business. So maybe that was one of their reasoning of having that treaty, and like all these big money people just didn't want people to find out, and they wanted to create these small cells. We are like, they're gonna make these smaller. They're gonna have like Apple City, all the other companies like Tesla is gonna have a city.
I know. I was hearing about.
They will just try to shut us down in one small city, and they would want to control us more. They wouldn't want us to leave. So I think that's the whole idea. No. I don't know what you guys think about that.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of information out there. There's definitely a lot of information. It's easy to like go in rabbit holes and stuff like that. You know, it's sometimes it's really hard to come to conclusions to what's going on. But no, it's really interesting to talk about certain things that happen. You know, but yeah. Anyways, I'd like to pause real quick to give a special thanks to our sponsor. We have a sponsor. Anyways,
I was like, wait.
James Austin.
I literally was like, what?
No, bro, all realness. So those of you guys that are watching this and you don't really know who we are, I kind of want to like introduce a little bit. I want to talk about a little bit about us, because we haven't really like talked about that much. So we're all from the Liberty Movement. We all work together. In you know, pretty much canvassing. And you know, Zophie, you want to kind of tell us what we did, you know, specifically?
So I'm not sure. I wasn't in Kansas City. Oh wait.
Well,
that's actually
so what's the Liberty Movement?
My first campaign was in Kansas City, but on the Missouri side. So basically, Make Liberty went back in the day. Was it last year? But I've worked with them since 2020, the general election, or before the primaries. So we just mostly door knock. I also made calls. I'm not sure if Huxley did that when he started working. But I met Austin and I met Huxley in New Hampshire. That's my introduction to them.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, we all.
I knew Anthony, unfortunately, from the first campaign I was doing. Not the first.
Shut up, motherfucker.
But yeah, most of us have met through grassroots campaigning, maybe some legislative campaigning. I'm not sure if you guys have worked on legislative, but I have, like Con Carey, school choice bill.
Right. Yeah. So it's pretty much, we endorse candidates. We knock for them. We go, we do whatever we can to get them elected into office, and it's pretty much.
Those candidates, someone else does that for us. We just knock doors for them. Some of these candidates we don't endorse by heart.
Yeah, legally speaking, yeah. But essentially, yeah, we all work together, and it's it was a fun experience for each of us. We all come from different backgrounds. This is why I love this, what we're doing here, because we have different backgrounds, we have different point of views. But this is the whole point. The whole point of this is to collect our ideas, right, and then and kind of talk about just current issues and all that stuff, and hopefully we can just get. Mainly, we want to focus on what is what is truth, right? But truth can be very it's subjective, right? But anyways, so James, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so the reason I went to door knocking is because I went to Turning Point, and after that I went to Revolution, and then they kind of just said we're going to door knock in New Hampshire, and I'm like, okay, sure.
Yep. Didn't you meet Trump Jr.?
Yeah, I met Trump Jr. at Turning Point. It was fun.
Nice.
Oh, that's
cool.
cool.
That's cool, bro.
Yeah.
And Anthony.
A picture with them.
Oh, were you done?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. Anthony, so a little bit about yourself.
So I was gonna say, yeah, I'm kind of probably maybe the most vet in terms of activism. I've been doing liberty activism now for 12 years. I took a 6-year hiatus, but when I came back, I lost my job during COVID. I was working at a fitness gym, and I was really enjoying it. I was doing membership sales, and I lost my job, and I basically played out the whole 6 weeks. I did all that, and I waited, and then after about 6 weeks was up, I was like, all right, you know what, fuck this. There's no way that I'm gonna live in a world that is gonna shut everything down and just for the sake of microbiology. I thought that was ridiculous. And so I went out and I started door knocking. That's how I met Zulfi in 2020. I actually got COVID while I think we were rooming together. And somehow you did not get sick.
I think I was amazing. I told them, do not tell anyone that I was rooming with you, because they had who was after us
well, I got it. I know I got it from I think it was James from Mississippi, the Mississippi James.
Wasn't the National Guard after us or something?
Well, the state attorney general's office was trying to do they were trying to do data tracking on us, and they called every single person that had any positive. If you got a positive COVID test in the state of New Hampshire, they had a pretty organized system because it's a small state, whatever.
Yeah.
We all got calls from the state attorney general's office because we were under investigation. And
oh my gosh.
I mean, I didn't answer any of the calls. I was because we were worried that we were going to get shut down. And they were trying to do contact tracing for it. And yeah, I mean, we were quarantined immediately. I was anyway.
Of course.
And we did quarantine. I lived in North Hooksett, or just north of Manchester, and I survived off of Dunkin' Donuts for a week. I couldn't go anywhere else. But and then so
did Make Liberty Win pay for the food?
They promised me groceries and they never delivered on it. So I ended up just having to fend for myself for a week.
That sucks.
That was really hard.
They paid for people in New York that were stranded in New York with Haley's team. They paid for them.
Wow.
Man, that was a nightmare. But that was really cool. That was my biggest campaign. I think I did like 42 races, something like that year.
Oh wow. That's cool.
And then 2021 was like an off year, and then 2022, that's when I met Huxley. And I did Tim Baxter's campaign, and we lost, which was really, really terrible.
Wait, yeah, you were on Tim Baxter campaign then, right?
Yeah.
Didn't I meet you?
Did we meet?
Yeah, because I went to his birthday party.
Oh my gosh! Wait, his birthday party. I don't know if I was there.
His
Wait,
birthday
where
party,
was?
And then I saw him other time. I forget where it was, but
I was there for the 4th of July barbecue, but
no, I wasn't there.
okay.
We were told not to go to his birthday party, by the way.
Oh, maybe I didn't go.
Wait, did you go to the party?
I would have been in Plymouth at the time.
I was in what was it? A watch party? What was that?
Yeah, watch party.
Yeah, I went there. I was there.
The midterms.
Yep.
Not midterms. I mean the general.
The general.
Primary.
General. Yeah.
The first one, whatever it is, primary. I think.
Were you there for the general election though? When we were
No, not the second one. I left like mid-October.
Oh, okay, never mind then. Yeah, I don't know if I've met. I don't think I met you because I don't think I went to the party. But after that, I was like, all right, I got to go to. I wanted to keep going, and I ended up taking a job in Minnesota, the same job that Huxley took. And we were a little disenfranchised.
That was such a drama, by the way, just saying. Like,
yeah, how was that? How was Minnesota?
It was a trip, literally. It was tough. It was hard work. Did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed it. Yeah.
I mean, I had a lot of fun because I got to visit around Minnesota, places I'd never been. I'd only been.
You've already been there. That's what it is.
Yeah, I'd been to Shakopee. That was like, or Shakopee. That's how you say it. That was like the one spot. But we got to do some cool campaigns together, and that's where we met. We met in an Airbnb, in the basement of the Airbnb. Huxley and I.
Our story is that we met in a basement.
I met Sophie was my first roommate when I started door knocking.
Oh shit!
We were outside.
Oh yeah, you guys met. I think you and Sophie met in the Laconia house, right?
Yeah, Laconia house.
We were in the same car. Mitch brought us both.
Yeah, I met in the car ride with Mitch.
This man waited 2 hours for me and this other kid, right? 2 hours?
Yeah, it was like 2 hours, so we went to go eat.
Damn.
We had a swordfish.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
But I learned, I had this past year, 2022, I had more defeats than I had ever had in like my entire campaign history, and I got hit by a car. So it was like a 1-2 punch. Like, and I got hit while door knocking. So I
I remember that, bro. I saw his head get stitched or stapled together.
Right, yeah. Huxley came and visited me that day. That was so great.
Yeah, I was there. I was there witnessing his head being stapled.
5 staples. Yeah. I had 2 visitors. It was you, Huxley, and John came along.
And John.
Yeah, John.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, that was good times. Good times.
I'm currently now in the middle of my first lawsuit.
Talk about myself. Yeah.
No, you have to introduce yourself now.
Yeah. So my name is Huxley. I go by Huxley. I started working with MLW first. You know, in the Liberty Win, I started with MLW, Make Liberty Win. Same thing, same stuff. I started working in my first campaign was in Georgia. I think that was the best I've ever had by far. The best campaign I've ever had. I think even to this day. But
Was Sean?
It was fun. It was fun. I got to meet. We had like parties and stuff like that. I mean, not like actually getting drunk. I mean, there was that too, but like with the candidates and stuff. But
which one? Where's this New Hampshire?
Yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it, and then I went all the way through until the end of until November 8th. So And then, originally I'm from California. Originally, I don't like saying that. I like saying I'm from Arizona because I lived in Arizona. No one wants to say they're from California. It's like it's like a nasty word. But yeah, and I'm Hispanic, Mexican, and yeah, I like working. I don't know, but yeah, no, the liberty movement really interests me because I feel like there's a lot of things that it's not talked about and it's not really like out there. I feel like us being younger people and we're like caring about these topics, about these issues, can make an impact, right? We can like impact people, with just our. It's not our idea. It's the American idea, right? The American experiment, right? It's essentially what we hold truth to our beliefs as Americans, right? And we just want to be left alone. We want freedom. We want
Real
to be left
freedom.
alone by the government. It's just not too much to ask for, really. But yeah.
So next topic would be the Turkish earthquake, where at the moment about 50,000 people have died. They've had 20.
It's up to 50 now. Wow.
Yeah,
so
it's a lot.
50,000 people died.
Yep. So there were like 46,000 in or 44,000 in Turkey, and the rest are from Syria. And they've had about 20 to 25,000 buildings that fell. So
that's
just
bro, I can't even do that. I can't even understand. I can't even comprehend that. Like, imagine what's a town? Imagine a whole. Let's say you're from a town that's 50,000 people and everyone's dead. That's crazy. That's a lot.
It's really sad.
Yeah.
It was in the two most southernmost provinces that hugs the Syrian border too. Like,
yeah,
there's a lot of pretty areas down there too. Like I keep seeing images on Instagram and stuff of like the buildings, and it's just like it's really sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Pretty place though.
So
Yeah.
Erdogan has said that they would dig these houses or rubble until they find the last body. So they're still there. They're trying to get people out, even the dead ones, because I'm pretty sure most people by now are like dead. When usually people do survive. We've had stories back in the day where people survived for 100 days. I don't know how they did, but they've done it before, like by the miracle of God, I guess.
Yeah.
But there's one so the thing was that when the whole earthquake news was going on, there were people that were speculating that this was done by this was actually not a original earthquake, like it didn't happen by tectonic plates. They do have a tectonic, they have maybe 2 or 3 tectonic plates actually going underneath that region, and they cannot tell which plate was the one that actually did it, because they can't really tell. They speculate that, hey, this could have been this area where the earthquake came, but they don't have the specifics. Like, they don't have that science. So if once you have a bunch of plates going underneath each other, like they have more than one over there. So right before the earthquake, there was a terrible storm, like lightning, and so a lot of people started talking about HARP. So, like, what HARP, like, it was deliberate, like this was done by America, for example. And
I already have a response to this. I love
this news was trending, and they're still talking about it. It became a huge.
What?
That's too much, though. I mean,
is it? It's I just like, whenever things like these come up, I just have no idea. Like,
I mean, it's good to be skeptical. It's good to be skeptical. That's a good way to think. It's just that if someone were to cause deaths of 50,000 people, that's
crazy.
Tragic.
Yeah.
I just find really rude over there too.
Yeah, but I don't know. It has to be. I don't know what to say about it. Yeah, it's crazy. What you're going to say, Anthony?
It is not. it's not a heavily populated area either. The Turkish side where the most people died. Syrian side is obviously more populated, but
right.
If it happened towards the western side of Turkey, like where Istanbul and like Ankara, cities like that are, like Troy, that would have been devastating because millions and millions of people live there. This is that most densely populated area, and most of these deaths happen because these people weren't following, these cities weren't following the code for the buildings. They were just avoiding it. And Turkey, even though they had laws, they weren't enforcing these laws, and
for the buildings,
that contributed to it a lot.
Well, I
they
was
only had to pay a small fee to not have real support in their buildings.
There was even a 5.6 that I think just happened yesterday or today.
No, it was the aftershock, I'm sure.
Well, it wasn't aftershock, but what I was going to say was there were buildings that were collapsing from a 5.6. Like, I'm sorry, but I mean, the earthquake scale, so it's called the moment magnitude scale, is like what we use now.
Yeah.
And it's a logarithmic scale, so every single increase of a single integer, so like
So I've survived an earthquake before. I don't know what happened to Arrow, but I've survived an earthquake in 2005 where it was 7.6 on the Richter scale, and in my city in Islamabad, where I was in Pakistan, only one building fell. That was, by the way, the biggest building.
And there's a lot of variables as to why that is too.
How old they are and yada yada yada.
Yeah, so like this is something I definitely studied in geography, and I even pulled up an article from the United States Geological Survey that talks about like earthquake prediction. But what you're talking about, Zulfi, by the way, what you touched on, Zulfi, you were talking about like the initial like there was almost like lightning right before the earthquake. We actually have studied this, and there is evidence that extreme tension in various layers of the upper crust, so the crust closest to the topsoil, can actually create electrical tension that interacts with the atmosphere. And there oftentimes it's a precursor to the actual like event of an earthquake. And typically this was recorded especially in the New Madrid Fault earthquakes back in 1811 and 1812 that hit the Boot Heel of Missouri. Because that's a fault line that it's a very, very, very old fault line that people forgot about. But there were reports.
How deep is the fault line?
It's much deeper because it's buried underneath like layers of evolution of the North American plate. We're thinking it's over 500 million years old. Like,
how deep is it? Can you give me an estimate?
Usually fault lines can go down between like 20 to 30 miles.
Do you know how deep we have dug in on the crust of like the surface?
Oh, not that deep.
Do you like
that for sure?
Yeah. Well, and this was, I mean, this has to do with like it's basically an ancient equivalent of like a magma plume that has like radiated outwards to form like this was like 2 Pangeas ago that this was created, and it's like left over because traditionally
are these hypotheses that you're like just saying it because I don't think
this is all stuff I've studied. Like,
oh yeah, so these are just hypotheses that you've studied. I just feel like
what do you mean? No, this is geological. Like, what do you mean? It's geology.
So the deepest that scientists have been underneath the deepest they've dug is 20 miles.
We don't have to have dug in order to know what constitutes like the interior of the earth.
Okay. Like, that makes no sense to me, but okay.
Well, the reason we're able to understand what's inside is actually by studying earthquake waves themselves. Earthquake waves perform.
Maybe aliens gave us the information. We don't know.
Earthquake waves perform differently based on what kind of material that they pass through, and we can actually tell what kinds of material is inside the earth based on how different waves are transmitted through the interior of the earth. So like, for example, if you've ever looked at like a seismograph, for example, my earth space science teacher in high school had a seismograph.
Don't nod, Sophie. Don't nod.
We had so right after the Fukushima earthquake, the 9.1 that hit Japan, we were able to witness the earth shaking for about 2.5 hours.
Wow.
And you get a variety of waves. You're not just getting, there's different kinds of earthquake waves, and I can go into more detail, but I don't have to do that right now. But basically, there are different kinds of earthquake waves, and the kinds of friction that's created from like tension between like tectonic plates is very likely what created like the electrical storms that you're talking about, because we have reports across like anywhere from Cape Girardeau on the Mississippi River all the way down to Memphis during the time of the New Madrid earthquakes. There were reports of like very, very extreme amounts of electrical activity that were not associated with thunderstorms at the time.
Right.
And
yeah,
that's
interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. I wouldn't know because because I wouldn't know because I didn't study that. But you seem pretty knowledgeable on that. Besides, you're the weatherman, bro. You study freaking the weather.
That's right, bro. Anything geography related is like my fucking forte. So,
Anthony, what's the capital of Bhutan?
Bhutan? You told me this, and I already forgot.
I
remember we just talked about
that's the hardest question ever, and he never knows the answer. I think I've asked him this like 3-4 times already.
I can't remember what you said. I don't have it. I could Google it.
I'm trying to find the video where they show the Japanese map, and the Turkish earthquake is, it's pretty far away. It's on the other side of the earth. They were able to pick up waves, and I just want to try. I'm just trying to find that video right now.
Done any research on it as of yet? I mean, there's a whole conflict going on down there. That obviously El Chapo's son got arrested, and he got and then there was a retaliation on the cartel, this Sinaloa cartel. They retaliated back.
I remember this.
They targeted the freaking, what do you call it, the airport. Right, and then they're started attacking civilian places too. So that, in a way, they're acting like terrorists, right? In a way, but what do you call it? And there's fear that by this happening, they could probably be weakened. So Sinaloa cartel could be weakened because of that, and it gives room for the new generation cartel, which is they're not really friendly, they're not really buddies or anything, but it gives them the chance now to kind of like take over a lot of points along the U.S.-Mexico border. They might fight these points there to gain control from the Sinaloa cartel, right? And if that happens, the new generation cartel, we don't want them to do that because they're way more violent. These guys are ruthless. They will bring violence into the U.S., right? They would bring bloodshed to the U.S., right? We would have chaos along everywhere, right, in the U.S. because of that. So it's something we have to look at. I mean, our government does at least, for the security of the U.S. New generation could be a threat because these guys are insane, right? So I mean, I can go into more details on how they're insane. Right.
That it scares me because of the increase of fentanyl and the production and distribution of it. Fuck that. What's the progress that, I mean, I know the Mexican government's corrupt, but what progress do we have fighting that?
I mean, how can you say that? What about the American government being corrupt?
Well, that goes without saying. I
mean, the Mexican government is corrupt. It is the definition of corrupt. Yeah, that's Mexican government. But the thing is that they're trying to do better, right? A lot of there's this like controversy with the Mexican government right now because the new president that came up, people don't like him. Like a lot of Mexicans don't like him, and then a lot of like there's been a lot. I'm kind of neutral on the guy because I mean it seems like he's done a lot for the community more than the government, and he's done a lot more for the people.
I mean, he is,
but that doesn't say that the government is still not corrupt, But he's at least trying. He established the National Guard of the Mexican National Guard. He was the one who established that to combat like stuff like that, like the cartels and stuff like that. But what do you call it? But as for the U.S., how we could combat that it's really tough. But there's this one thing that we've talked about before is legalizing drugs. Like to stop the drug war. Yeah, is to like make it legalize and not essentially like make alternatives for it. Like
you can buy from a
it's
pharmacy
a touchy
and all that.
subject, right?
Yeah.
But because a lot of Republicans don't like this, right? A lot of Republicans are like no, I feel like we need to think like all the other solutions did not work, right? We fought fire against fire, did not work. What if we try this? We cut their supply, of profit by making it, legalizing drugs, right? But I don't know. I'm not the one to like get into that because, I want to be put on a spotlight. Yeah. So, you guys have anything to add on that?
So do you think that the wall would work? Like, would it actually work to like? We don't have the border secured all the way, so
No.
Would that be an issue? Because I'm not sure right now with the whole situation in Mexico. Do you see the things improving in Mexico just because if we make that wall?
Actually, sideways.
If we make the wall sideways.
There we go. He died.
They died. Oh.
No, Huxley's gone. Damn.
So this brings to the end to the American Experiment Radio, guys.
No. We will rise again.
We'll come back next time.
I feel like we should definitely pause it though, or unless you guys want to.
Next week we'll have Evan Terry talk about his experience in Sufi, or I don't know what that organization that he is in or was in. But stay tuned, guys.